All right, if you're a fan of Kiss, you're going to enjoy this video. I'm Robert John Hadfield.
And I'm Gary Casella.
This is Gary. And so, Gary, I made a video without you where I talked about Hotter Than Hell. What surprised me, so as I'm reading some of the comments on that video, was how many people said that they didn't even know about the costumes the first time they heard their music. And I started thinking about that, and I go, you know what? If you only knew Kiss from the first three albums, I mean, think about the cover of the first album, no
Right.
costumes, just
the
makeup.
faces. Yeah.
Hotter Than Hell, you can barely see it. You can see Ace's kind of wings, you know, the shoulder thing a little bit.
Looking thing, yeah.
And Gene kind of a little bit. And then Dressed to Kill, they're wearing suits. So, and I thought that's so interesting because so many of the people, when they first heard of Kiss back in that initial era, they weren't even aware that there were costumes involved with it.
It was the live act, right? That really kind of, it was the momentum and the word of mouth, because no internet back then.
It was an interesting thing to think about, that if you were only introduced to them through the records prior to knowing about the live concerts, you would have, like I said, a few of the people commented were like, I heard a few of their songs, didn't even know about any of the other stuff. It was just cool rock and roll.
All the fanfare and the Kiss cards and magazines and all that came after the fact.
You had the cards, and then you could really start seeing all of the different the costumes and the effects, which
the
you would
Kiss
have
marketing
to go,
machine,
right,
in full effect.
Which it honestly got out of control eventually. It really did. But the thing again that was so interesting to me was how many people were commenting that were early adopters. They were early fans that were like, I didn't even really know about any of that stuff until later. The reason I did that other video was I'd found this article where this person was writing basically kind of a review right around the time of Hotter Than Hell. And as I'm reading that, I'm thinking, that's so interesting because he is seeing this through a different lens than the rest of us would be too. Just because it was, to him, it wasn't what it became. And that, because I'm looking at it through the lens of a 10-year-old kid who by that time Dynasty's out, you know, and I'm seeing all the colors and the as I put it, the Las Vegas act that it became, although a few people pointed out on the notes that doesn't really apply, but people who are old enough to watch these videos know exactly what I'm talking about. So
the over the top, you know, costumes and stuff. But back in the day, I mean, even, you know, the first couple albums, when you're seeing some of the old footage, I mean, they were costumes, but not to the extent of, you know, the armor and the spikes. And I mean, I think Gene had the bat wings pretty early on, and I mean, but
it was pretty tame bat wings.
Yeah,
you know, mostly it was just cool leather.
But it was the makeup, and I think that's, you know, talking Dressed to Kill, it's you know, we'll get into it.
So then what got me thinking about this then, or the reason I wanted to talk about Dressed to Kill today, was I thought, okay, I wanted to do something similar that we did with Hotter Than Hell, but I was thinking about this because so many people commented about the music. It made me think about Eddie Trunk a while ago did a show where he had a bunch of people call in and give their top 20 Kiss songs.
Okay.
And something that really surprised me, because he got a bunch of super famous people calling in to give their
I'm
20.
Sure. He's got massive.
It might have been 25, but I mean, it was a bunch of really well-known, famous rock stars.
He didn't have Ace calling in. I mean,
yeah, but that's the kind of thing that he had.
Of course.
He had, like Tom Morello called in, and he was telling because he's a big Kiss fan.
Yep.
So he had all these people that were Kiss fans that are famous people calling in with their. And the thing that surprised me, that really gets back to the idea that this really was the music, was there was one song, and I don't have the list from Eddie Trunk's show, but I was so surprised that there was one song that showed up on almost everybody's list, and it was from this album.
What was it?
It just kind of floored me that this was the one that seemed like it showed up on everyone's list. And it was, and I would have never ever guessed this. It was the second to the last song right there.
Love Her All I Can.
Love Her All I Can.
Dude, that is an amazing track. First of all, it's fast-paced.
Yeah.
And I think Ace's soloing over the top of that song is freaking amazing. It's amazing.
It's just so funny for me.
It's amazing.
But it's evidence, again, when I heard everybody mentioning that one, it was this weird evidence that it was somehow really music focused for so many people. That it was because they're going back into these kind of deeper songs that had that energy. And it was funny because
as they used to call them, right?
Exactly. That it wasn't that it isn't on the album that has the cool pictures and the big. It was off of this album that really wasn't it, and it was a deep track.
Right. Obviously, everybody knows Rock and Roll All Night.
Yep.
Which is on this. This is the studio version, which the live version is the one that it's on the radio still.
Right.
But there's so many songs. If I were to pick out a Gary favorite Kiss album, Dress to Kill is probably it. It's got a lot of great songs. Ace is playing, and as an Ace guy, I love it. I love the vocals.
Yeah.
Ace's solos on all these songs. These songs are short, number one, hooky, meaning repetitive and catchy to, you can sing along with them. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, this is, I don't want to say Beatles-esque because the vocals and the things, it's just a great album and punchy. We talk about in one of the previous episodes we did together where David Lee Roth did, he's like, I only put 4 songs out on this because the rest is, why put out an album with a bunch of crap songs?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 4 great things. And then we're done.
I mean, these were tight, concise songs. I mean, in an era when people were putting out, long ass songs, Free Bird and some of these longer songs that had to be edited for the radio anyways. Yeah. Why edit it? We'll just knock out punchy 3-minute songs. I don't think it was by design that way. But, I mean, you look at the body of work leading up to this, I think, personally, this is my favorite Kiss album.
A lot of people have commented, because I've said this in a lot of different Kiss videos, that they had a good pop sense. I'm not saying that they were a pop band, but their music, your Beatles comparison is not a bad one because they made just catchy songs.
Right.
And I don't think these are anywhere in the neighborhood of, I'm a big Beatles fan. But the point was that these songs were catchy. They were short, and these guys could write a good hook.
Hey, I'm a Capricorn. She's a Cancer. You know, I mean,
it's a great line.
Saw my picture in a music magazine. Like, they are awesome. I mean, Two Timer is one of my favorite songs, and it's just a weird. I want to say weird, but it's, I'm a 3-time loser. My baby's a 2-timer. Like, half those lyrics probably aren't politically correct in 2025, which, I mean, we're talking 70s, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it's a great song,
and you're so right about that. Matter of fact, I think Paul Stanley in his book even says that he couldn't write those lyrics today if he wanted to, because it was not just because of political correctness. It was because he was he was a kid.
Yeah.
He was hungry, and it was all catchy.
Yeah,
they were catchy tunes, and so and the whole where all this is coming is, again, it's a look at this band prior to. It's trying to see the band at a time that I wasn't aware. And that's what the other video is about when I did that one, because it was a video that was because Hotter Than Hell came out in October of 74. I think the article that I wrote was like the first month of 75 or something like that. I can't remember what the date was, but the point was, they were really a brand new band. And all the people really had to go on, if they hadn't seen them in concert, rumors of what it was like seeing them in concert, maybe a few pictures in a newspaper or a circus magazine or something like that. But it was these, just a couple records then. And so then you get to this album right here, which did, Hotter Than Hell sounded really kind of low budget. It just did. They were great tunes on it.
Great songs.
But
I mean, I love Hotter Than Hell, there's a real couple songs I really like on that one. First of all, visually, I never liked the album art, concept, and I just never really resonated with it. Kind of too busy. Love the first album because it's black with their faces.
It's Beatles.
It's
Speaking
awesome.
Of that,
yeah.
it's like Meet the Beatles or With the Beatles cover with the four faces.
It's totally great.
Yeah.
And you still see kids wearing T-shirts of the original Kiss album cover out there, which is awesome. That tells you it's iconic.
Yeah.
Right? If it's 50 years later and people are still rocking it. And then, I look at this. I mean, I love this album cover. First of all, the suits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
from what I understood, wasn't Bogart, it was
the manager, Bill Aucoin.
Bill Aucoin. I think this was a Coin suit and it didn't fit him.
No. I mean, Gene looks great. First of all,
it's awesome the way it turned out.
I mean, I've always liked Gene because he looks like he's got the high waters, the suit doesn't fit him.
Doesn't fit him. It's great.
But Gene's tall, and I mean his son's taller, but Gene looks menacing because he looks out of character. And then those shoes, clogs?
I know.
Totally 70s, man.
I absolutely love it. It's so great.
Yeah, it's a great cover. And I mean, this one has the embossing, which is really cool. Like I said, I had this on cassette forever. But
so what I want to do with this is something similar to what I did with the other one, but this one's going to be a little bit of a twist. Because what I did is I found 3 different record reviews. Because by this point, third album, even though they weren't selling a lot, people were paying more attention, each album paying more and more attention. And so by the time this one came out, some of these newspapers were putting out legitimate record reviews for this band Kiss. That was kind of this...
Yeah, it was a buzz
thing.
Band,
Exactly.
I mean, who are these guys? Yeah, I would think, because if you hadn't seen them, what else are you going to go by?
And it was prior to, again, this is the thing, it was prior to the whole world thinking it was a gimmick. Some people did for sure, but it was still focused on, people were still thinking more David Bowie, Alice Cooper, New York Dolls, just more of this kind of makeup, and these guys are just pushing it.
Right.
So, and all those, I mean, honestly, all those were critically acclaimed acts too. Wearing makeup.
Oh no, I absolutely agree. I just, I mean, we say that, and not to get too off tangent, but I mean, the Grammys just happened, and you got somebody is like Chappell Roan. You familiar with her?
Mm-mm.
She just won like Best New Artist, and I mean, how she looks and dresses is kind of like New York Dolls, and that's like her whole fan base and all. I look back at like some of these bands, Alice Cooper, New York Dolls, and some of the people like that were kind of,
that's what Paul was trying to do.
Gender bender
that's
type
what Paul
of,
was doing.
Exactly. And it's like, how, you get people today kind of crucifying new artists for how they're looking, and I'm like, hit the rewind. Like, are we not looking back? I mean, you look at Dee Snider or others, and you're going, that's cool. We think that was cool back then, and now today
Bowie,
we're like,
go all the way back to him. He's doing the same thing.
Oh, and Mick Jagger with his like moves and manual. Well, anyway, not to get too off topic.
And I've pointed this out before, but whenever I see Paul Stanley, especially in those early days, he was, to me, looked like Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror. Sure. And that's all that was.
I can see
that.
It
was just, he had that same, the hair was kind of the same, he just kind of looked, and it's looked that way to me. Yeah. And so that's always been part of the art. There was always people doing
the flamboyance of Paul.
But that's what he was going. He was actually going for
it.
That was his point. That's what he was trying to accomplish with this character. So, okay, I've got these 3. They're not very long, but this will be kind of fun to read these. These are 3 record reviews for Dress to Kill.
Awesome.
And these came out in 75. So to set this, to put this in context, the Dress to Kill came out in 75, March 19th of 1975. And then, so the first one we're going to read, we've got a couple of them ranging from May to October. We're going to start the latest one and move backwards. So we're going to start on October 2nd of 1975. So the album would have been out for what, six months at this point, roughly. Yep. So, and actually, by the time October 75 rolled around, Alive was already out too.
Yeah.
So, because Alive came out in September, but this is still a review on Dress to Kill. Okay. So, Kiss, Dress to Kill. American power glam exponents, Kiss, are reputed to have, this is from, I didn't say, the Burton Mail. I didn't see what state this is from. This is from Staffordshire, England.
Oh, all right.
Burton Mail, okay. Getting back to this. American power glam exponents, Kiss, are reputed to have one of the most exciting visual acts in the biz. Their music obviously depends a lot on this, because on album, it's a little short of ordinary. Volume is the key. Loud, raucous, unashamed, and undiluted rock and roll of the 70s sums Kiss up to a T. There's no time to sit and think about the songs as the band pound them out in rapid succession. The numbers all sound pretty much the same. Not that that matters when you're busy rocking about with the music. When Kiss visit these shores shortly, as they are expected to do, fans of bands like Sabbath, Bachman-Turner, etc., will be able to add the name Kiss to their list of favorites. They're a heavy band. Until then, Dress to Kill is a sample of their music. Kiss, namely Gene Simmons bass, Paul Stanley rhythm guitar, Peter Criss drums, and Ace Frehley lead guitar, are dressed very much to kill and playing loud and hard as if they mean to. Okay. Notable in there, unless I missed it, they don't say anything about the makeup, the costumes, do they?
No.
Nothing.
No.
This is all basically just saying they have a great show.
Power glam component, high energy.
Yeah. And this gets back to what I was saying a minute ago. It's like, it wasn't, for some people, it wasn't even the conversation. And that's why it was so surprising as I'm listening to people in the comments, like, I didn't even have any idea. And you're reading this and you wouldn't know from reading this review that Kiss even wore makeup.
That's true. Well, I guess you wouldn't. If you're just reading this for the first time.
Reading this review.
If I'm listening, or
you just go hard rock band that sounds like
the
BTO.
Burton Mail and I'm checking it out and I'm reading this, I'm like, I might go check them out.
Yeah, because if they're kind of like Black Sabbath and Bachman-Turner Overdrive, maybe it's cool.
Yeah, they're not wearing makeup.
Now this person doesn't necessarily like it. He's just saying that it's the album. He says it's a little short of ordinary, which is kind of like, wasn't his favorite, but still it was. Anyway, so that was kind of interesting. So next one, we're going to go to July 26th of 1975. And this one is from the Saginaw News. This is in Saginaw, Michigan. And it's July 26th, 1975. So this is 4 months, about 4 months after it came out. Dress to Kill, Kiss. Kiss has mastered the formula for success in the rock music industry. Controversy. Either you hate Kiss or you love them. That still...
To this day. Polarizing.
It's so amazing how true that is.
Yeah.
Because people have... It's hard to not have strong feelings. It's funny how many people... It's like you're in one camp or the other on them. It's not
really... I'm a casual Kiss fan.
there's a few people.
Yeah.
But
I love me, I was made for loving you and rock and roll night. I know those two. That's...
Yeah.
All right, you're not a fan.
Okay.
I mean...
These four New York boys have mixed gimmickry and marginal musical ability to a degree no one has matched since Alice Cooper first hit the radio. I love that.
Not true, but okay, go ahead.
Mixed gimmickry and marginal musical ability. I even if I don't agree with them, I love some of these articles just because the writers are it's so funny listening to them.
Yeah, because they don't play instruments, right?
Exactly.
I'm a journalist.
Dress to Kill is Kiss's third LP and their most impressive attempt musically. All the songs do not sound alike, which is different than what the other guys like.
They're all the same.
It's great. They still have the kicking drive they introduced in their first LP, but completely missed in Hotter Than Hell. Kiss is not Hotter Than Hell, simply lukewarm. but Dress to Kill indicates the temperature is rising.
Journalists.
So still not loving it, but saying, you know what? Based on where they've been, this is getting better. Okay. Ace Frehley, lead guitarist, once said he could take on anyone guitar-wise. He may beat Johnny Thunder in a key of A, but Robin Trower would use him for a pick. What Ace does, he does well, and Kiss is still a notch over Black Oak, Arkansas in party music.
I mean, look at who he's referencing. Robin Trower, who was like a Hendrix wannabe. Black Oak, Arkansas. Come on, man.
Which is where, what was the guy's name that was the singer? Because David Lee Roth kind of got his persona from, I can't think of his name. I'll think of it in a minute.
Funny name.
But again, and Johnny Thunder.
Yeah, and Johnny Thunder.
New York Dolls.
Yep.
And he might beat him in the key of A.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's funny how many people also in some of the Kiss videos we do on this channel talk about how Ace Frehley is the one that got them interested in playing the guitar.
Right.
And even look at somebody like Dimebag Darrell. Had Ace tattooed on him.
Commitment.
Because this guy was so influential. And you can knock him as a guitar player, but man, he just played the right
Again, I go
stuff.
back to, you listen to this album, Ace's playing is on point, if not some of his best.
Yeah.
And some of the songs that they play off of this album onto Alive, and the solos he's cranking out in Alive that are like, Rock Bottom.
Oh my gosh.
The Rock Bottom solo is so tight and so concise and so Ace-like. I mean, typical Ace-like. No, it's Ace. Straight up. And at the end of the day, he goes on Alive and extends it out twice as long. Dude, it's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Robin Trower, come on, man.
Anyway, but again, look at the review.
Yeah.
And if you hadn't seen the band, if you didn't know, you still wouldn't know they wore makeup.
No. I think it's cool.
Isn't it interesting? No, this is what
music
fascinated about me. Fascinating to me because I did that video. We got hundreds and hundreds of people commenting on it, and a bunch of people in there like, I didn't even know they had makeup. When I first started, I'm like, what? And then I'm going back and I'm going, you know what? That's a really great, because I was just trying to make the point that they weren't the Vegas act, but other people are like, it wasn't just that they weren't a Vegas act. I just had heard the music and it was cool.
Right.
So, okay.
No, and that is a good point. I mean, obviously, journalists can say whatever they want and come from a predetermined position, which, hey, if you're liking jazz or Bob Seger or Robin Trower, no knock against Robin Trower. He's a great guitar player. Hendrix clone, by the way, in my opinion. But the reality is, you're listening to this, or you're checking these articles out. Yeah, what you're saying that they're no mention of makeup.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
just another cool hard rock band.
Yeah,
that this reviewer didn't like very much.
Yeah,
but
and that's the thing. Journalists have that liberty to be like, they're coming from that predetermined place of power punk or whatever these guys are calling them.
But this journalist certainly knew
gimmickry and marginal
about the makeup
musical
and that kind of thing.
No.
The journalist would have known, at least somehow, but still didn't even bother mentioning it because it just wasn't important, and obviously wasn't important enough to mention.
Yeah, nobody's nobody's going to the Beatles and saying, hey, their early works were not that complex. Dude, they were catchy.
That was it.
Right?
Yeah.
This ain't Sgt. Pepper's. It's Dress to Kill. You know what I mean? It's a totally different thing. We're going after straight rock and roll, which is what we're about. We wanted that. Kind of punch in your face. We're going to get out and party. That's what we're about.
And he made the point there that it was some of the best party music. It had that, and that's another thing we've talked about a bunch on this channel, is it's like that whole thing of creating simple music that has this broad appeal that just is fun,
right?
And taking yourself or your music way too seriously, and the kind of the the folly of doing that, which is a whole nother story, because these guys fell in that trap at one point. Okay, here's the last one. So this is from the Times Herald. This is Port Huron, Michigan. And it's funny, this review is put down right after Physical Graffiti. Okay, so Dress to Kill. This one, the guy has kind of a different take or a different feeling about it. What I want to know is this: why aren't these guys as big as BTO? They play better, they sound better, they write solid songs, and they even have a sense of humor. Well, no time to worry, because Kiss isn't exactly going broke. And this album, which is kind of ironic.
It's ironic.
Funny, yeah. Because that was the thing where Paul Stanley talks about that time when somebody asked him what it's like to be rich and famous. And he goes, well, I can tell you what it's like to be famous.
Right.
I can't tell you. Anyway. Okay. Oh, well, no time to worry, because Kiss isn't exactly going broke. And this album, featuring at least 4 potential hit singles, may be the one to send them over the top. Getaway is the ace, but Room Service, Come On and Love Me, and Rock and Roll All Night would do any car radio proud.
Nice.
The amazing thing is that this group consistently comes up with memorable hook lines.
Thank you,
and
sir.
still manages
That's what I said.
to squeeze crystal clear vocals in above Ace Frehley's volcano guitar. I
Great.
hate to put it in this either or light, but if you don't like Kiss, you don't like rock and roll.
Amen.
Isn't that interesting?
Amen.
And again,
no mention of the makeup.
mention at all of any of any. It's this music. It's the music, because it was a different time, and like I pointed out on that other video, when you look at the back of that album, because the article mentioned the adults that were at these concerts. It wasn't what became the 8-year-old kids.
No.
It was good, solid rock and roll that was being twice here compared to BTO, compared to Black Sabbath. Now, I don't, people that watching this may not agree with any of that stuff, but these people were doing.
Yeah, I mean, this is the writer. Obviously, he's a fan of rock and roll. Thank you. Right? He's being objective in the sense of, hey, these guys write good, catchy songs, good vocals. Gene and Paul sing really good.
Yeah.
And they have a good balance. I mean, distinctively, Paul and Gene, they sound totally different. Right? And you have a good balance.
Great
just
blend when they sing together.
I mean, not to keep bringing up the Beatles, but it's kind of like, John and Paul.
Yeah,
right?
when you listen to Paul, you can pick out
the Paul
John's
songs and
background vocals and vice versa, and same with them.
And
you
on
can
this
hear
album,
Peter,
for sure.
You can hear Gene. When Paul's singing, you can hear the Gene harmony in there.
It's what I like about this article is, first of all, he brings up Getaway, which is Peter on vocals and sounding awesome, very Black.
Like we said before, he has
like Black Diamond vocals.
He has a great voice,
and it sounds great on this album. Great, sounds great on that song. A lot of people in the Kiss and the Peter Criss one that we did kind of said, hey, if Peter Criss would have came out with a solo album that had Black Diamond and Getaway and Strange Ways type lyrics and songs, he would have been like selling way more than he did sell. Just saying. You can check that out. But anyway, that's not to go. But Come On and Love Me, we quoted some of the lyrics there. That is a great song. And it was a staple for their live show. And on Alive, it's a great song.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Dude, this guy was on point. I like it.
Yeah. And like I said, the whole point here again was I compared it to Elvis. If you ever watched the Elvis comeback special, which was I think in 68 if I'm not mistaken, if you ever saw that when he's wearing the black leather, and he's playing he's at one point he's sitting on that little 10x10 stage or whatever with the 3 other guys, and he's playing the guitar and singing. At that moment you're like, okay, I get it. I see why he's the king. The charisma, he sounds cool, he looks cool, he's got this personality, he's thin, he's a good looking dude. I mean, everything about it, you're like that. But what Elvis, if I go down to Vegas,
you're not seeing that Elvis.
All the people that are the the Elvis impersonators, for the most part, are the Las Vegas fat white jumpsuit Elvis. And we forget just how awesome that guy was when because he died like less than 10 years after that special. And the same thing here. There was a time with Kiss that 3 reviewers on this album didn't even mention
the music. Yeah, mention the music.
One of them said gimmick. But they just talked about the the rock and roll
makeup. Yep.
Anyway, that's what fascinated me. And I'd thought of it sort of, but it wasn't until a bunch of people commented and made that statement, like, I didn't even know they had makeup. And I thought, really? Yeah. Yeah, because of this stuff, you wouldn't have even and the limited. We didn't have the internet, and they didn't have Kiss cards yet, and so you'd see him in a newspaper article like these.
The article where he says, they're not going broke. Casablanca was going broke.
Yeah.
When they put this out, the reason Neil Bogart was the producer. They didn't have money to bring in Eddie Kramer or anybody. They're like, oh, shit, we're going to save some money here, right?
Yeah.
And so they do it on a budget. It turns out awesome. And I mean, that says a lot in and of itself, in my opinion. I mean, some of these old albums that cranked out, I mean, I think this one was recorded in 10 days at Electric Ladyland. We'll book it at night, knock this out, let's go. And you got a masterpiece.
Yes, and that's one of the things I wanted to add to this.
Masterpiece is a bit much, but
it had
a great album.
And I want to just add one other thing to that, because this is such an important point. It was recorded very, very quickly, and when you put it in perspective of the other three studio albums, they were 3 albums basically within a 12-month period, roughly.
That's a ton.
Now. And somebody, other people are like, well, and this other person took all these, years to make this one album. People go, yeah, but this was all such simple music. Yes, it was such simple music. Yes, it was. But how many bands that put tons of time into the studio really, really, really ever get as many really good, catchy tunes out of it? Not that many. I mean. These guys, these first few albums had so many. The fact that they were able, not putting masterpieces together, not these big, long, amazing pieces of music. They were putting out that quickly, even though they weren't these really complicated musical statements. They were catchy, good rock and roll tunes.
Some of these, for the article of the guy saying these guys aren't musically good. Try playing some of these. Try learning some of these songs that Tom Morello and Dimebag Darrell and some of these others. This is an iconic album in that sense. She is on here, which again,
was always it. Oh my gosh,
that's a fantastic song, right?
Yes, it is. It's
a fantastic
catchy
song, and they're all catchy, and it's kind of got that weird groove, got the weird drums, and got the weird bass line, but it's so good. And Ace, again, is just over the top, just awesome on it. How can the other knucklehead say...
just like this guy said...
It just drives me crazy, but you're right. I mean, it has nothing to do with the gimmickry, the makeup. It's good music. And, yeah.
So much so that 3 different reviewers didn't even mention it.
Because maybe you heard the songs... And then you go out to the record store at the time, and you're like, "Wait, what are these guys dressed up as?" Right? Yeah. I mean, by that time, they probably it was getting around.
Everybody kind of knew.
The guy in England, right? The reviewer in England's like, "This American band, coming
kind of sounds
over.
like Black Sabbath," and certainly there people just the word of mouth. People would have known that they had a crazy show,
right.
That there were costumes and makeup, but if you had never seen it.
Now, Kiss would be going viral,
right? Yes, but if you had never seen it,
you were doing this in today's day and age, and nobody had done what they were doing at the time. Yeah, that's what would be happening, without a doubt.
Anyway, so I just thought it'd be fun. Again, kind of building on that other thing that we'd done, that other video. It'd be interesting to go back and look at it from a similar time period, what these people were actually saying back then, before before even Alive was out. When a lot of these people that, like I said, had commented on that other video, and I'm sure we'll get some comments on this video, or there'll be others that'll say the same thing, like, dude, you're right, I didn't even know. There's a lot of people that did, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well,
but
the back cover of Alive with, Cobo Hall packed. They were selling out.
they just weren't selling albums. But but the word of mouth had gotten out there.
Right.
This is worth seeing. This is exciting. There's a lot of stuff. But there were photos here and there.
Yeah.
They'd made it wasn't like they hadn't made TV appearances and things like that. They had.
Yeah.
But again, you're in a different world, because if you didn't catch it, if you didn't see it when it was on, you're not going to see it.
Right. It wasn't like they were filming things like they do today and everybody's got a phone.
Yeah,
no.
If you didn't see it at that time when it came on, you won't. You'll just it'll be rumors. You'll know that, oh my gosh, they wear makeup and they've got costumes or something, but that wouldn't have been the driving force. That's the point. It wouldn't have been the driving force, because you might see them every once in a while, somewhere, a picture you might see, but it had to be because there was no other option. It had to be the music.
It's a great point.
That's the point.
Yeah, and that's why they were so influential, right? How many people that are watching or listening, which thank you, by the way, maybe you caught one of these early shows. I mean, we got people commenting that they'd seen Kiss a lot of times. Obviously, I didn't see him till Lick It Up because I was too young.
Yeah, me too.
But, how cool would it have been to see some of those early shows? And I know the guys that are on the back cover are live. They've done like a recreation
of the photo.
And all that kind of stuff. That's so cool. I mean, talk about a cool fan base and something iconic. Dude, to be on can you imagine being on the back cover of Kiss? You're like, that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you weren't the two dudes holding up the banner and you can see yourself, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you're not following the channel already, please follow the channel. Like the video. Love to hear your comments about this. If you saw, especially like we said a second ago, if you saw them during that period, and what was your experience like when you first discovered them? Were you like us, where you discovered them a little bit later and you'd already known about all the makeup and the pageantry and the excitement and that type of the showmanship? We'd seen pictures, we had the cards, the lunchbox, and all the other stuff. Or were you one of those early adopters that saw them back then and loved this and saw it as the next step beyond the Dolls and Alice Cooper and that kind of thing? Yeah. And I know a lot of those people, once us little kids started showing up, they're like, Dude,
I saw Alice Cooper on the Muppets.
That's true, man.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was then. Yeah. 70s, man. People were pushing different boundaries and different time.
It was awesome.
Awesome stuff.
Love to hear what you have to say. Get your feedback, and with that, have yourself a fantastic day.